Hello, and welcome to the new and improved and revamped and visual common briefing program. We've been gone for a little while, and I'd love to say it's because we've been hard at work crafting a new format, but that's a bald-faced lie. We've been busy, and we had some back-end reasons to not just crank out a podcast all the time, so we're working on some new workflows with the same conversations to make sure that we can continue having these chats. Like we've been saying since the start of all the CGP stuff, this is an excuse for us to get together and talk about shit, and if you come along for the ride, I'm so sorry, and we're going to have a great time. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. But basically, now that we're back in the saddle with my incredibly blurred edges, we are going to be talking about a variety of news topics. Usually we try to cover the previous month, but we are going to be focusing on, well, the last few months.
Given that it's been a few of those.
It's been a few months, and with a few exceptions, I don't think December was the craziest month, with the exception of some Game Awards, some high-profile movies. It's been relatively quiet, as, you know, I feel like we sort of hit that window where everything that got delayed during the pandemic has kind of come out now. And now we're in, like, the echo lull, where it's like, oh, now everyone has to start making stuff again. Like, okay. And so we're just going to put together a smorgasbord of things that we think are worth your attention, things you should maybe give a shot before this lull ends and we get into the crazier bits of 2023. And I am Colin. I tend to host these, and as you can tell, I'm extremely well prepared today. Who's joining me?
I am Jeff. I'm here.
Is my cursor in the video?
Hello.
It is. I'm so unprofessional. Sorry. Go ahead. Hi, Jeff. Hi, other person. What's your name?
Introduce your cursor. What's his name?
I'm Taeemul, or Chowdhury, whichever you prefer. I am also here.
This is also the name of my cursor. Boop. I just gave Chowdhury a little nose boop. We're figuring this out. This is all stuff I know how to do, but it's like, you know, theory and execution are two different things. And
story of my life.
Let me tell you, I've been spending today doing a lot of things that weren't preparing for this recording. We're recording this the day after New Year's. Eventually, we might want to be just moving to live streams for the sake of easing up on our own storage and stuff. We're going to figure that out, but we are pre-recording this by a couple of days, which may be important because some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, there's a chance that that'll change. And today, did you guys have any, like, work, school today, or is it, like, totally off? Because it's New Year's Day observed for most of the U.S.
Yeah, today I just had off, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had today off. Right now I'm working a temp job at Union as an administrative assistant. And it's a little bit stupid that today was off because Union does trimesters, which means their start and end times are real weird.
This is Union College in Schenectady, right?
Yes, Union College, yeah. Classes for them for their winter trimester start tomorrow, but the staff is on vacation from like the 23rd of December until the 2nd of January. I'm just like, that's just bad. That's just a bad format. Like, people are going to be trying to start classes tomorrow and have all these things that they're needing to figure out on the, like, bureaucratic end that just no one will be able to help them with.
Yeah, wow. What a time for administrative people to not be administrating something.
Yeah, the day before college classes started.
I'm just imagining, like, the school campus burning down, and, like, off in the distance is Jeff, like, watching it through a 3-story window with his hands folded behind his back, like, this was bound to happen.
Yeah.
So with that, what was that?
Maybe,
I usually
maybe
do a vibe
with
check.
like a single violin going off in the background.
If Jeff doesn't have a violin, this is a good reason to get one. I know you've been really looking for an excuse to get into stringed instruments. Let's see if we can transition from casual chatter, past the vibe check, into just straight up geek news.
We've had some stuff that's happened. I feel like there's going to be like a couple of huge stories that we've just forgotten that have happened during that time.
Absolutely. At this point, I'm treating this more as a way for us to get our beak sweat than it is to, like, do actual reporting and then maybe start really solidifying. Because we were going to originally...
I like the implication that we've been doing actual reporting.
We put some diligence into finding information, but given that none of us are journalists and have no accountability, you should really think twice before relying on us for, like, you know, making serious decisions. That said, we were going to have a conversation in early December, and Jeff was like, guys, we should do this. And Chowder and I were like, no, thank you. So we've dabbled with this a little bit. And Jeff, you said specifically, could you guys please pay attention to news so we don't end up in this boat again? And I've like paid attention to news, but I've been trying to pay attention to news, but not,
by the way, I'm paying attention.
Not a lot has jumped out at me. I really only want to talk about 4 things, and if these spiral into larger conversations, that's fine. The first 2 things I want to talk about are movie releases, and they are probably the most notable movie releases in the last few months. Since the COVID pandemic sort of shook the movie industry, there have been a million op-eds saying, when will people return to theaters? What will the return to theaters look like? What's the future of the movie industry? And all of these are fantastic questions, because I'll tell you what, there's a long time I didn't go to the movie theater. There's a long time a lot of people didn't go to the movie theater, and it
really got me off the habit of it, to be honest. I was just like, like now I'm just kind of like, by default, I don't care to go to the movies a lot of the time.
I still enjoy the spectacle of a theater. I have seen several movies the last year. I've gone out to the movies once every month, or maybe 2 if it was a quiet time. But like, I saw Top Gun Maverick at a drive-in, which felt safe because, I was in a car. But otherwise, I would mask up and I'd go see, I saw Nope. I saw a bunch of the Marvel
I did go
Fair.
to the drive-ins a couple times.
Yeah, and the 2 movies I want to talk about that released since our last conversation. The first one is Glass Onion, and I'd like to talk about this because...
Watched that yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it during its limited theatrical release, and I saw it again when it just came out on Netflix, and an absolute delight both times. Absolutely rewards multiple viewings. I wouldn't mind doing a full-ass book club style episode on this movie in the future, but the reason I want to talk about it isn't because it's a slam dunk fantastic movie. It is hilarious. It is absurdly topical. Like, Rian Johnson is going around saying, I swear I didn't make this movie about X famous person, and everyone's like,
but
okay, I call bullshit on that.
It was written
clearly Elon Musk.
It was potential spoilers, but no, I mean, Chowder, think about it. This movie was written 2 years ago before any of this was a twinkle in
but that
Elon
could have still been about Elon Musk without being about
what
Elon
he's explicitly said about how the movie, and I fully believe him based on how both Knives Out, the prequel to this movie, and Glass Onion function, is they both have a lot to say about class, even if that's not
people bullshit.
Yeah, more specifically, inspecting the dynamics of how, especially in the stressful case of a murder, what happens when desperate people of different levels of wealth or experience or privilege act under this kind of pressure. And if you just look at the characters in this movie as reflecting people in that sphere, it's easy to see it as a very ambiguous set of characterizations, but the timing is undeniably fan-fucking-tastic.
Well, because there's just been so much conversation about, like...
rich assholes, but like that's clearly Elon Musk.
I mean,
is playing.
he may not have none of the people involved in the movie may have intended it, but that is what absolutely everyone is seeing. To the point where Ben Shapiro went on a fucking rant about how criticizing Elon Musk this explicitly is problematic, along with him finally understanding how murder mysteries work on like a structural level.
Yeah, no.
So
I don't know if like Ben Shapiro has like some sort of humiliation kink or something, because he just keeps getting on the internet and embarrassing himself. He has to know he's embarrassing himself.
I mean, this is again from our perspective. I'm sure that from his perspective, we're just being whiny. And I don't care, but humiliation kink is one of my favorite pairs of words I've ever heard in my life. Now, aside from all of these things that we can talk about with Glass Onion, which I think would be fun to discuss ad nauseum. The reason I want to bring this up is if we're talking about the future of movie theaters, Glass Onion did something weird. After Knives Out was a smash success, Netflix is the company that won the bidding war for his sequels. Netflix bought the ownership and distribution rights for Glass Onion and the third Knives Out film. However, Rian Johnson very much wanted this to be a theatrical release. What happened was there was a 1-week window around Thanksgiving where it dropped, and I think of these as Thanksgiving movies. Maybe it's just the cozy vibe of the first one, but I was happy to see it that week.
Also when the first one came out, right?
Yeah, end of November 2019. And
yeah, because I remember we went to go to the theater, and my cousins went to go see Knives Out when I saw something else.
Wow, big mistake on your part.
I saw it eventually.
That's fair. The whole thing about this release was that we were going to see can a hybrid model of releasing a movie, stint in theaters, straight to streaming, work out. Given the overwhelmingly positive reception to Glass Onion, it seems as though this could be a bet that pays off for Netflix. Taking a look around, in that week, Glass Onion, in a very limited release, it wasn't everywhere, so it wasn't like a full 3,000, 4,000 theater release in the US, made around $15 to $20 million is the estimate, which is not bad given that the theatrical release was not really promoted, and it was not a wide release. So it's one of those things that proves like, oh, even these relatively lower budget films, these movies are not as expensive to make as, Last Jedi, which he also made. And
so that's interesting. Does the money for the, does the profit of the movie actually go to Netflix?
Yeah, they own the movie. It's not like they're partnering
right.
with Universal or something. It is.
Yeah.
If you go to the theater, it does the full Netflix logo and everything. It's
that's wild.
Yeah, no, it's
you're in the weird future moment.
It is. It felt strange, but as someone who enjoys seeing things in a movie theater, especially this movie is gorgeous and has a ton of on-site photography in Greece. It's beautiful, and it was really nice to see on a big screen. And a lot of people opined like, "Hey, you only gave this movie a week. It got incredible reviews and you didn't promote it. Imagine if you did it for even just a month, just 1 month. Continue building word of mouth, continue building profit." I do not know how much money you would lose by keeping it in the theater, just paying to make that happen, or if that would even out. But Netflix has done limited theatrical releases before. I feel like this is the first one that got a lot of buzz. A lot of times when you see a streaming company put something in theaters, it's really just for awards eligibility, because in order to be eligible for certain, Academy Awards, you need to hit these certain checkboxes, and that's one of them. So Netflix could just be trying to really not even caring about this experiment. But I just wanted to say that I think that this model could be sort of that healthy balance. There were a lot of people in the theater, which was a little uncomfortable, but I was able to mask up and seat. I always find the handicap seats, if someone needs them, I have to vacate them, but I always book that ticket because it's so isolated from everything else, and it's a great view. So I think Glass Onion has proven on one side of things that there can be peaceful cohabitation between these seemingly conflicting mediums. Second movie I want to talk about is Avatar: The Way of Water. This has been a film that is the source of a lot of anxiety and consternation and frustration, because the first one made so much absurd amount of money, and can the second one come close?
Wait, has it retaken its biggest box office thing with the re-release?
Yeah, the re-release earlier this year made a lot, hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm pretty sure. A surprising amount.
Might as well be a new movie since the old one came out 12 years ago or whatever.
So Avatar: The Way of Water, and I will say this, I saw it IMAX 3D. The spectacle of this movie is undeniable. There are some people that thought the story was a lot stronger. I am not one of those people. But even though I don't think the narrative is what pulled me into the movie, I found it very James Cameron, very 80s, very surface level, some kind of squicky stuff, but by and large, a serviceable movie plot that did not fill the runtime enough. It was astoundingly gorgeous, and the movie has a lot.
Dances with Wolves 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, I was about to get shitty because I'm getting really tired of the Dances with Wolves as a counter argument to enjoying these films, but Electric Boogaloo saved you, and I'm not going to get on your case about it. Gold star. Love that. Keep it up forever.
Well, it's really like Dances with Wolves like 5, right? Because I mean, Dances with Wolves predates Pocahontas, right?
Yeah, that was early 90s, right? I mean, the story of Pocahontas does not definitely the actual story, but that's Disney's movie was not exactly a historical retelling, so.
No. Yeah, I mean, Disney's movie was based on like the writings of John Smith.
Yeah.
John Smith, yep, and those were not accurate at all. Like, the reason Pocahontas is like an adult woman in the Disney movie is
and
because
not like a 14-year-old.
John Smith wrote her.
Yeah,
and not a 14-year-old. Yeah.
So the thing about Avatar: The Way of Water is where you have something like Glass Onion trying to prove, hey, there's a way to merge these things. Avatar is the polar opposite in saying, like, kind of like Top Gun Maverick did earlier in the year. Can you just have a balls to the wall blockbuster that will brute force its way into making billions of dollars? And so far, despite anxiety that it would underperform and the thought is like, if Avatar can't make this happen, no movie can, which is, again, I think fallacious given some of the Marvel returns we've seen, Spider-Man, Top Gun Maverick. But Avatar,
I mean, a lot of people just act like the pandemic isn't a thing anymore. So like, I don't think it's that surprising that movies are doing as well as they used to.
And specifically over the holiday weekend and the weekend before it, the surge in COVID and the flu at the same time has absolutely tampered down people turning out. And even so, Avatar is already really close to 1.5 billion worldwide. And this is what happened with the first movie. It was an opening weekend that was like not stellar, and it just kept going and going and going.
Isn't that usually the case with James Cameron movies? Like, he usually does better, over the long run.
Yeah, typically. I believe that was also the case for Titanic. I don't know about Terminator 2, but God, I love Terminator. That's one of those. Terminator 2 is one of those movies I go back to every once in a while. It's great.
Yeah.
But Avatar: Way of Water, putting aside what you think about the film, the idea of saying, like, can we just sell a spectacle, still seems to work. And I think that the silver lining of this is that whatever the model is, some of these big bets on weird movies are paying off and means that they will continue to be made. The gray cloud that silver lining encompasses is how every other movie besides Glass Onion and Avatar: The Way of Water is performing right now. So are we going to live in a world where a movie could be released in one of a million ways, but we're only going to get Glass Onions and Ways of Water? So it's an interesting dynamic.
I mean,
I think is worth looking at.
The current situation we're in for like anything really is just that there's no room for a middle ground. You can't have a movie that comes out and does some pretty good numbers and makes you some money. No, it's either got to be a $50 billion movie that makes all the money all the time, forever, or it's a little indie project made with like $5 and a ham sandwich.
I want movie budgets to be specifically recorded in number of ham sandwiches. The thing is, I agree with your frustration, but to everybody's points throughout the conversation so far, like, Jeff, you're out of the habit of going to movies.
Yeah.
You're not going to go unless it's super fucking compelling. And so those middle ground movies, like I started watching Confess Fletch last night, the John Hamm movie, another Fletch adaptation. I made it halfway through before we like just got tired and had to go to bed. But like, it's a good movie. It's clever. It's funny. It's well acted.
But like,
and admittedly a lot smaller. But like, despite getting good reviews, it didn't perform super well. Because you're right, there is no middle ground. But why would we risk ourselves for a movie that isn't like once in a lifetime viewing?
But here's the thing: there's no room for it anywhere. Like, there once was a time when we thought, oh, streaming is where all these like niche genre films or and stuff would make its home. But then Netflix was like, nah, fuck it. We want things that make money.
Yep.
We'll cancel everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ongoing HBO Max stuff that's been happening with has been pretty bad.
That's another one we skipped over, right? The whole HBO Max thing.
No, we talked a lot about that in our last few episodes, but that does lead me into the last thing I want to say, which is very frustrating. The TV show that Jocelyn and I worked on a little bit, and she worked on a lot, is not on AMC Plus anymore as of New Year's.
It was there for like what, a month at least?
September is when it launched. This show,
really? Okay.
This show has made several best show of the year, end of year lists. It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's gone. You can't buy it on Apple anymore either. There are a few.
Is there any news about like if it's being moved somewhere, or is it just? No
idea. Absolutely no idea. And I know things about the production of it that I cannot speak to that really are just like everyone else have me scratching my head because I mean. There's just like the HBO thing, no transparency, no visibility. So it's like we have all these conversations about like where a movie's going, and the end of the year has given a lot of fuel to that fire in that conversation. But is there even enough oxygen to sustain this beyond whether you're in a theater? Yeah. Are we going to continue to get quality things?
I mean, especially I mean,
my name's in the credits. How good could
animated stuff? Animated stuff is getting like super dicked over by that whole thing.
Yeah. It's weird because like even things that like you would think the bigger corporation whatever would have a vested interest in, they don't do. Like Netflix, for example, they went out of the way to get like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure onto their platform, especially like have Part 6 be exclusive to their platform. They then barely promote it. They do like awkward batch release where they released one batch a year ago, and then the second batch came out in like October, and then the third and last batch came out in December, and it's like a weird schedule that like killed all the hype everyone had for Stone Ocean, and it's like
ruins the momentum.
And it's like, man, if that was a weekly release, that would have, I don't know, that would, people would have been enjoying that, you know, the excitement and its anticipation, but nah.
Yeah. It's confusing. The lack of clarity on the decisions being made here makes it even more frustrating. I mean, I think there are interesting conversations to be had around what's going on with James Gunn cleaning house over at DC, but he's being transparent about it, so it's less of like a what the fuck is going on, what's the future of this. He's just saying, new creative projects, here's what we're gonna do. But everything we're seeing on the streamers' behalf is just like, what is happening? If you're going to spend, you know, $500 million to get 2 Knives Out sequels, and that puts you in debt, what's going to happen to the rest of your platform? So it's confusing and interesting, and though there's some excitement in the form of the 2 movies I mentioned, I think that they are, in fact, the silver lining of a gray cloud. And that's kind of that's what's been on my mind a lot. I will tell you what, I enjoyed seeing both of those movies in the theater. If I could, I might see Avatar again, even though the story is bled. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like it. Visually,
yeah. Look, I don't have any doubt that the visuals are gorgeous.
Sure,
but it's just the visuals don't appeal to me. Like,
that's fair. Like, that's totally fair. That's a good reason to not see the movie. That said, let's move on. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. I've got a few things to talk about. Mostly it's stuff that has been kind of spanning over the past few months. I do want to talk about some HasLab projects, because there's a few of them to talk about here. We had a couple failed ones. We had one that I was quite invested in that failed. We had another one that is related to my interest that succeeded. First thing I want to talk about, we did a little recording that didn't end up getting published, and I talked about this then as well.
Oh, the Hero Forge crowdfunding thing?
Heroscape.
Hero
Forge
is the online figurine. Yep. My beat.
Yeah. Yeah, so they announced a little while ago, Hasbro announced that that Avalon Hill, does like Betrayal at House on the Hill and other, like award-winning board games, was going to be handling the reboot of Heroscape, which is a great board game, I guess you'd call it. Board game feels like a bit of a misnomer. It's kind of a tabletop board game, but it's a game where you've got miniatures and you fight them in a battle, and you build it on these like elaborate hexagonal maps where you build the map with these little hexagon pieces. And it was quite popular, like over a little over a decade ago, and then it got shifted around to to Wizards of the Coast, within Hasbro's team, within I'm not saying things properly. Wizards of the Coast is a subsidiary of Hasbro, but they moved Heroscape to Wizards of the Coast, and it did not do very well after that, and eventually ended up being discontinued. But it's maintained a really passionate fan base since then. Like, people still hold tournaments and everything for it. So it was pretty exciting news to see that they were planning to reboot it. And they came out with this like new master set of Heroscape that came with all these pieces. There was some stuff about it that people were a little bit skeptical on, like the pieces are no longer going to be painted, was a big thing that was kind of different. And also it was being put as a HasLab project, which, if you're unfamiliar, if you haven't heard me talk about it several times by now, is basically Hasbro's kind of crowdfunding platform where, they put out a project, and basically if it doesn't get met, then they don't do it. And the Heroscape Age of Annihilation project had a goal of I'm pulling it up here. I want to say it was like 8,000 backers. And it had a month and a half to do it, maybe 2 months, and it got only 4,300 backers by the end of it. So it did not pass, which sucks. But it was also, there was something kind of weird about this one, where usually the HasLab projects are like, if you don't back it, you don't get it at all. Like, you're not just supporting the creation of the project, but this is the only way to actually buy it, officially. But there was some weird stuff with the Age of Annihilation set where like they had figures that they advertised as being exclusive to the like backer exclusives, basically. Like, you couldn't get those figures if you didn't back it, which implies that the rest of it you maybe could get even if you didn't back it. Right? That's fair, the fair assumption, but they were never like overly transparent about what the method of release would be for non-backers if it did get funded. The presumption obviously is if it doesn't get funded, then no one gets it. But I'm guessing that like that killed some of the momentum for it too, because a lot of people probably were like, oh, I'll wait for the the later release. I don't have the money to put down on this right now.
Classic bystander.
Right. Yeah. I'm guessing that it had a lot of bystander effect. But it was a pretty exciting thing, because like one of the other cool things about it was, I mentioned how a lot of the like fans of the original game are still like really active online and like, creating tournaments and stuff. Well, a lot of people have also been like writing their own cards, just using like miniatures from other games and stuff like that. And they have it's basically Heroscapers.com is a fan run website. And that's basically like the preeminent like source of Heroscape information, and Avalon Hill went and actually hired some of those people to like write some of the new cards.
That's kind of cool,
which I thought was a really cool concept. Because it's just like, hey, it's giving love to the fans who have been kind of holding the ground ever since Heroscape ended back in like fucking 2012 or something like that. So it was going to be really exciting, but it didn't pass, unfortunately. And another one, this is not really related to my interest at all, but I just watched this project because it was happening at the same time as the Heroscape Age of Annihilation project, was Marvel Legends put out this like this Ghost Rider HasLab figure that was like, the comic version of Ghost Rider where he's got the car instead of the motorcycle. So it was like a Marvel Legends figure of Ghost Rider. And it was really funny because it was these two projects that were going, and then a Transformers project got announced. And the Transformers project was like almost like within like a day, it passed the number of backers that either of these projects had.
Jesus.
And the Ghost Rider one also did not end up getting funded. It was... let me see. It had a target of 9,000 and only got 5,000. Meanwhile, the third one is another Transformers project. Our last HasLab project was Star Saber, who was well, Victory Saber, I should say, who was that project did get backed, and he was like the main character of of one of the most predominant Japanese Transformers shows. And this one is the villain from that show, and it got all of its stretch goals.
Wow.
Also, kind of interestingly, they after it got backed and the funding was over, so you could like no longer buy it, they announced a surprise of a secret third stretch goal tier that had been met, and they're just like, oh, by the way, you get these 2 figures as well with it. Which, as a person who backed it, I'm like, wow, that's really exciting. It's a nice little surprise. But then I thought about it for a second. I was just like, what if that would have pushed some people over the line? Like, what if people wanted those?
Yeah, why not
and
advertise
were on the
it?
fence about it, and then decided not to fund it, and then
what if,
saw that after the fact?
What if they're playing the long game? It's a creepy
little strategy. Yeah, it's a creepy little strategy here, where I think that they are playing the long game of like making it like a FOMO thing of like being like, well, if
I don't back, what am I not going to get next time?
Maybe it'll come with something else that we didn't tell you about, which I think is a little scummy.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the HasLab news over the past few months.
It's interesting. I feel like you've talked about other things that fail, and I'm not asking for hard data. Are Transformers the only ones that get fucking funded?
No. There are other things that get funded. I don't tend to talk about a lot of the other ones, but let's see here. I can just look through the.
That's fine.
Basically, I only talk about them if they're Transformers or they fail. So.
Fair. Okay. So I'm getting. I have a serious case of sampling bias.
There was a fucking like a cosplay Ghostbusters plasma pack that got funded. Yeah, like I said, a few G.I. Joe projects. We've got the big Marvel Legends fucking Galactus, who's like taller than HasLab Unicron, that got funded.
That's cool.
A few Star Wars things. Hero Quest, that's a different board game that got funded, but it had a fairly cheap asking price.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
what was the non-HasLab stuff?
Any of the big successes seem to just be 80s nostalgia stuff, right?
Well, yeah.
That seems to be a lot of the American market in general, and the entertainment side of things.
To be fair, I think that Transformers Victory probably was early 90s.
This is me not being amused by the pedantry.
Nope. At 1989 might be.
another point chatter, killing it this whole time. What's the non-HasLab news you got?
The non-HasLab news I got. Well, in other Transformers related stuff, Transformers EarthSpark came out in November. The date fucking eludes me, but the first part of the first season aired on Paramount Plus, and it's really good in my opinion. Which is
that
great,
also a Nickelodeon show?
Yes, yeah. So it will air on Nickelodeon. They haven't been really transparent about like when it's going to be airing, just like on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
But admittedly, I have not been paying that close attention because I do have Paramount Plus. So like that that was been the default place that I was going to watch it anyway.
The reason I ask is Star Trek Prodigy is also Nickelodeon Paramount Plus. And it's also been very opaque. Like season 1 premiered last October 2021, and then 10 episodes in, they were like mid-season finale, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll air on Nickelodeon eventually. When? And then it just wrapped up the back half of the season, where it was 10 more episodes of I don't know how long the season's gonna be. Like it's really strange.
Yeah.
Like animation production is so tightly managed and like needs to be extremely collaborative and well planned, and like these are both well reviewed shows, so clearly they're being made pretty well. So why is there no clarity on how the fuck they're being released? It's very strange.
On they're being released,
really strange to me.
Because EarthSpark was like that too, where it was just like, oh, like it said that there was like the premiere of it, and it was the first 10 episodes, and it's not unusual for a show for the first season to only be 10 episodes.
Sure, yeah.
So like I like watched it and I'm just like, so I thought originally I'd heard that it was going to be 24 episodes.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, this was just the first part of season 1.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird because like the way that they end it after the first 10 episodes, like it doesn't feel like a hard season finale because it doesn't really feel like a full season because it's only 10 episodes.
We
but
should see
it definitely
we should see if
reaches a
EarthSpark and
point.
Prodigy have some shared executive producer credits because structurally sounding extremely similar.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I mean, otherwise, just in terms of the show itself, it was really enjoyable, I thought, which is really refreshing because I feel like we haven't really gotten a good, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I liked BotBots as a show, but it's not really like a capital T Transformers show. It's only sort of tangentially related.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we haven't gotten a good Transformers show since Transformers Prime ended in like 2013. So this was very refreshing. And I guess notable things about it, we got our first non-binary Transformer character. Cool. That was exciting.
Wait, hold on. Do Transformers have sex? How do they reproduce?
They don't have sex.
How do they reproduce?
I mean, it's different continuity to continuity, but mostly it's just like the planet births them. They don't have sex as in they don't fuck, and they don't have sex as in they don't have a concept of sex.
Bisexual reproduction is not part of
correct.
their
They do have
ecosystem.
gender though, because they
Which
use
is-
gendered pronouns.
Yeah.
Some of them are he, some of them are she.
Are they just
others are
conforming?
they.
Are they conforming to the constructs of human society, or did they somehow evolve a gender binary
Depends on who you ask.
on their own without sex as a foundation for it?
Well, they don't. You might be surprised to find out, Colin, that in the kids shows they just don't touch that question. They just use he and she, right? Because it makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's no. Yeah, I mean, it's
To confuse the
different continuity
80s
to
children
continuity.
by making them want to do
Because
stuff.
heteronormativity.
Yeah, I was talking to Chowdhury in person earlier today about some pretty screwed up comic past about how they've handled gender stuff in the Transformers comic history, where originally in the original cartoon, at least in the first season, all of the characters were male, right? Because they had written a few of the characters to be female, but then some of the executives were like, well, this is a boys' toy line. There shouldn't be any women characters. So they're all male, right? So it kind of just became this default of all the Transformers are, he, him, right? And then eventually they started introducing female characters without really, mentioning how or what they were, right? But in the comics, some of the writers were basically like, well, they're a genderless species, so why would they have women? Ignoring of the why would they have men conversation, because men are a default and women are an anomaly, I guess.
You said it, not me.
Just our ribs. But one of the characters from the cartoon who's pretty prominent, RC, who is a female character in the comics, as a way to explain why there would be female characters. One of the explanations in the comics was that RC was built as a response by the Autobots who were receiving angry backlash from human feminists, and then were trying to appease them. So made
that
a
is
female
some
Transformer.
next level petty. Christ.
And that's not even the worst one, but we don't.
We can stop there. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Basically, the way that Transformers has handled gender in the past is bad.
Yep.
At least in the comics.
I don't know. What you told me of that second iteration of RC was really fucking bad. It's even worse, and I'm amazed it could get worse.
That's
horrifying.
We'll
leave that one up to the imagination. But anyway, Transformers EarthSpark introduces a non-binary character, and otherwise is just quite enjoyable.
Yay.
And my last bit of news here is that Ash is finally leaving Pokemon in the Pokemon anime, and that's a big shakeup. It's not really a whole lot more to say about it yet. We don't really know what form it's taking after that, but
so
this motherfucker is finally allowed to reach the age of 11, I guess.
It's weird, right? Because while the entirety of the Pokemon anime was going on, I'm like, they need to move on from Ash. They need to do new things. And when they finally announced, hey, Ash, we're retiring Ash. We're going to have a new character. I'm like, wait, hold on. I don't think I'm ready for this. Ash has been around since I was a wee lad. Am I ready for this change in my life?
I'm not ready to turn 11 yet either.
So what I'm hearing from you guys is that the Pokemon Company has accidentally instilled in people around the world a crippling case of arrested development, and you are all still 10 years old, angry at Ash.
I mean, I don't know about Jeff.
No.
I'm basically stuck at whatever age Sonic the Hedgehog is.
I'm super fine with it. I wish they had fucking got rid of
Ash.
No. Because the thing is, they did get rid of Ash years ago, and then just paraded his dead body around as a new character and acted like it was the same guy, but it wasn't. It wasn't the same guy. They've been weakened at Berniesing Ash for like fucking 20 years now. I'm ready for it to end.
Oh my Christ.
Yeah, no, listen, it needed to happen. It should have happened a while ago, but now that it's happened, it's like surreal because, I guess there was a time I just started to think this shit's gonna outlive the sun. This shit's gonna outlive me.
Really. I wonder if the next character is still gonna have a Pikachu. Probably, right? Like, they can't get rid of Pikachu, can they? Pikachu's gotta be like...
There's gotta be a Pikachu in there somewhere, but, like, they've only ever shown Sprigatito, so, like...
What if Pikachu's the bad guy?
Yeah, right. They think they're gonna make Sprigatito the new mascot of the whole franchise. Good luck with that.
I mean,
guys.
I'm just like, look at how long it has taken to get generations of people that didn't grow up on Nintendo to like stop calling all video games Nintendos, and and all little monsters Pikachus.
Yeah.
The people that have had to struggle with that probably can't pronounce Sprigatito, and I just had trouble saying it with my mouth right now. So, yeah, dude, I don't know.
But it's just Sprig plus gatito, a actual Spanish word, man.
Yeah, I know, but Sprigatito, there's a lot of sharp enunciation that goes into that instead of Pikachu. It like explodes. It's a Pikachu. It's a sneeze. Like, it's so easy. It's got some sharpness, but it's not Sprigatito. It is.
I think the only one they could effectively
it's just more. You have to think about
like if they wanted to put an Eevee in there, and that's pretty much it. Surely there's got to be a Pikachu. But
I'm sure we'll see a Pikachu in there somehow.
All right. So for the sake of time, Chowder,
that's all I got.
Hit us, baby. What you got? What news do I need to be aware of?
Well, I'm gonna start with the thing that excites me the most. They finally have announced, or the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga, when the next part is coming out, part 9. It is coming out February 23rd, and like, here's the thing: part 8 ended like over a year ago now, so like everyone's kind of been like waiting with bated breath, like, oh man, when we gonna get part 9? We've had some things to hold us over till then, like a little spin-off thing called Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak, and we've got we had the anime, but we finally got the announcement of JoJo Lands, or the JoJo Lands, I guess, and it's like gonna be interesting because, see, when I first got into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 8 was still going on. Like, Part 8 had a very long run. Like, Part 8 went for 10 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like, literally, when the anime started with Part 1 to ending with to midway through Part 6, all of Part 8 was going on, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like, when I was watching the parts, I always had in the back of my head that like there was like more JoJo, and when I eventually got caught up on the manga and finished part 8, it's like, oh wow, part 9. This is the first time where I'm gonna like experience it as it's happening, you know, as each chapter comes out, and I'm like, oh man,
that's how I
what's
felt.
gonna come next?
That's how I felt when Star Trek Discovery came out. I'm like, I was born into the dead era of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And now I get to watch it. Star Trek Discovery was the first time I ever saw an episode of Star Trek premiere, and I was like,
right, yeah.
What do I do with this feeling? It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It feels weird.
It's gonna be exciting. A few days ago, like a image got released, you know, just to like give
That's
us
an
sense
energy.
of what JoJo Lands is gonna be like, and it is fucking inscrutable as hell. Like,
what
I'm
supposed to take from this?
I mean, like, there's a person on the rabbit, the person's head on the rabbit, and like,
where?
Like,
oh, yeah, right. Fuck off. Why is there a rabbit at all? Oh,
is that the next JoJo? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's inscrutable. I don't know what I'm.
Almost as inscrutable as listening to what you guys are saying right now. I have no clue what's happening.
That's about how you feel when you're watching JoJo too.
Yeah,
no.
I guess
it's pretty
it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and they ain't kidding about Bizarre. It's a very strange series.
You cannot screw this motherfucker.
Did the localization people decide that Bizarre was a more enticing word than Inscrutable, and that's why it's not JoJo's Inscrutable Adventure?
Damn.
Yeah. No,
asking for a friend.
No. Bizarre is just what it was called in Japan, and they just kept it in America.
Fair.
One of the few things that, because like, I mean, I guess I should probably move on to the next thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
But, yeah. So I guess next thing I want to talk about is Square Enix. A while ago, we talked about Square Enix and the letter they sent out where they just said, oh, we fucking hate making video games. We just want to do some blockchain. And here they are saying, in this article I'm getting from Video Game Chronicles, Square Enix believes recent blockchain volatility can benefit its games plans. Translation:
how
the market being going to the shitter.
Yeah, because 2022 was not a very healthy year for blockchain-based cryptocurrencies.
No,
I can say uncontroversially.
It's baffling Square. Yeah, it's absolutely baffling Square Enix's decision to go so hard into NFT well after the NFT craze has died horribly. Like, and like just
especially
when, just saying,
when people fucking love their video games.
Yeah, like
that's ultimately what this is about.
Like,
right? It's about enabling new means of monetization, and I've been saying it since you know, NFTs exploded. The technology at the core of this is potentially revolutionary. It was co-opted by Ponzi schemes across every fucking market imaginable, and nobody liked it, and it all collapsed, not because the technology isn't viable, but because it hasn't been refined, and there's no killer app. Like, this is still one of those things that could potentially form the bedrock of future technology. But they're treating like it already is that, and it's not.
I don't understand how it is going to be the bedrock of future technology. Like, nobody's mad to explain to me how this is supposed to change things, man. Like,
I don't. That's what I'm saying is I don't know either. All I know is that, like, having the things that are enabled by certain blockchain functions, particularly non-fungibility, is a huge one. That is an extremely valuable asset in a world where data is able to be duplicated. If you're going to have an economy, non-fungibility is a big fucking deal. But again, people are treating the companies that are going in on this, like Square Enix, are behaving as though this has already evolved into a stable, functioning way of conducting commerce, and it hasn't. It's not there yet. It's not the bedrock of anything. It's an idea that people have failed to sell, failed to market, and doubling down on what it is now, to me, is not what makes sense. If you want to invest in developing technology and finding apps, finding executions that will compel people, I think that's one thing. That's not what they're doing or what they're saying.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're still like latching on to like the
like
dumb idea of like, if you buy something in one game, you could use it in every other video game. As every game developer looks at you and says, that's not what games is. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also,
And
I
it's
just
like-
feel like, I mean, in general, like a lot of people, like the thing that was really attractive about the blockchain shit to begin with is just like how fucking little regulation there was on any of it, so they could like get away with a lot of stuff. But it's just like, yeah, surprise, surprise. The fact that none of it is regulated means that it goes sour real fucking quick.
Yeah. Who would have
in
thought?
most
And
practical
also-
scenarios.
Once more people know about it, it's gonna start getting regulated, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it has been.
Which
Countries
is-
have already passed laws.
Yeah. But do they say anything new in this letter? I only read some headlines on it because I was just like, not a fucking again, really. Like,
Yeah, it
is
really
there new information, or is it just saying like, hey, same as last year, we're still good?
Really, it is just, hey, same as last year.
Jeez.
They don't really go into any specifics about how they plan to make money off this nonsense. Like,
Just
They
like, hey,
sold-
just a reminder, we're still bad. We're still doing bad
Like-
things.
like they sold Tomb Raider for this. Why would you sell Tomb Raider for this?
The last 3 Tomb Raiders did pretty well, so
Yeah.
those are great games.
Like, yeah, no.
It's one of those things that I honestly can't comment on too much more because, one, we've had this conversation before, and two, they're not bringing anything new to the table. It's just the timing on it is like, really? Still? Like, even if you keep developing this, this is what you want your brand to be? Final Fantasy 16 is
really,
coming out, and this is what you want to focus on? All right. Okay. Whatever works, man.
Like, you got
Bold
Like,
strategy.
for crying out,
Colin.
for crying out loud, you're releasing Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 7 remakes. Those games are anti-environmentalist, anti-capitalist, like unsubtly so. So like, I don't know. The irony is
Yep.
just.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, they're not anti-environmentalist.
Are you saying
Or-
that they are environmentalist,
no, I mean,
anti-capitalist?
Environment.
Yes, okay.
You said anti-environmentalist,
environmental.
anti-capitalist. And I was
This
like, wait a
game
minute.
wants you to burn the fucking forest. It's great.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I meant Final Fantasy
I
7 is
getcha.
I getcha.
environmentalist.
Yeah.
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 I always have fun watching
But yeah,
terrible
let's
companies
just
put out
destroy
stories like
everything for
that.
NFTs.
Yeah. I felt the same way watching Andor. I was like, how is Disney publishing this show?
Right.
Same thing with Severance, like a show about like horribly toxic work practices. I'm like, how is
Yeah, it's
Apple publishing this show?
It's like, hey, wait a minute. You can't just call out the thing that you're doing and that makes it okay.
Yeah,
You
like,
have
come
to
on, what
Stop
the-
doing it.
Or
What the
like
fuck?
how Amazon Prime has The Boys, a
Right?
piece of fiction about like capitalism and
Yeah, like
and
big
like
corporate
fascism and
Yeah.
corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's done by Amazon,
How
the
can
company
Yeah.
that makes its workers pee in bottles.
How can
Really?
Sega put out Sonic Frontiers, a game not about insider trading, but Yuji Naka keeps getting arrested for it? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yuji Naka doesn't work for Sega anymore. But
I know, but he got arrested for insider trading like twice in the last few months.
twice, yeah.
But
Which
dude,
is
oh my God.
how he's either really good at it or really bad at it. So I'm kind of curious to see how that shakes out.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Hades 2. This is another thing I'm really excited about. So,
Uh-oh.
I have played a lot of fucking Hades, right? Like, what?
You froze
Is that
for a
all?
second at a very funny moment.
froze.
You're good. Continue. We heard you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Played a lot of fucking
so
Hades.
I've been playing a lot. I played a lot of fucking Hades. Like, even now, like 2 years, I believe, since it's been released. I still like put runs in that game.
It's fantastic.
One of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite games that's
really good.
come out.
Really good.
You know, and like it's got a great story and a great art style, and it's made by a studio that I really admire, Supergiant Games. They also made like Bastion and Transistor. So
I think part of what's surprising is Supergiant, while they put out these games that are all very similar in style and play, they don't make sequels. So this is the first time. This is the first time they've made a sequel. So. Which, granted, like if they're gonna make a sequel to the game, it's probably the one that like topped every fucking Game of the Year list in 2020.
Yeah, and also just sold like gangbusters.
Yeah,
like this is the game.
Excellent.
Especially after like the very long development time it's had, so they probably want to get their money's worth out of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The story in this game seems to be about like stopping like Kronos, the Titan who gave birth to Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, and like was like super evil and bad. And like that's interesting because the first Hades is actually a much more
it's very personal.
Personal story.
Because it's very
like
much
a personal story about like about like trying to reunite your family who is and also who kind of getting to know the other side of your family that you didn't get to know about,
and specifically a lot of
the Greek gods.
A lot of the side quests that you do, which is weird to say side quests in a roguelike, but like a lot of the side things that you can explore as you go through the game is reuniting other people or figuring out why other people don't want to be reunited. And it's like every narrative thrust in that game is deeply personal. So I'm wondering if they blow it up to those more grand stakes, do they lose that?
If they increase the stakes, will they lose that? Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking too. But I'm sure they'll pull it off fine. Yeah. And I'm kind of curious how like the gameplay will be, because like the first Hades feels very complete. How do you expand upon that, I guess? I
mean, I will say another comparison, and related to Greek mythology and video games, God of War Ragnarok. I recently finished playing through the main story of that. That's another game whose predecessor was like renowned for its phenomenal combat. And while you can kind of see like some of the rough edges, by and large, it's like, how do you can't reinvent this. This is it. Like, you found it. And, I mean, God of War Ragnarok does not reinvent it. It does flesh it out considerably. And then, I mean, spoiler alert for God of War Ragnarok, it adds a third weapon. In the original Hades, you have, 6 weapons, if I'm not mistaken? I mean, imagine how different the gameplay would be if you just had different weapons. Just that alone would make it feel fresh, because those weapons are, like, core to the combat experience and identity of the game. So right. I think that you can absolutely iterate on it without having to do a reinvention.
Yeah, I mean, totally. There's lots of games that don't, like every Pokemon game uses the same mechanics. They only actually reinvent how that works every once in a while.
But that's like a consistent criticism of the Pokemon games. So
I don't think that's the criticism of the Pokemon games.
It's a criticism.
No, but the criticism, but I'm making a distinction between the criticism isn't that the mechanics are the same every time. The criticism is that the narrative is the same every time.
Oh,
and that you do the same things. Like I think that people would actually have an issue if they change the mechanics of how Pokemon work, because like,
I think that's a separate conversation I'd love to engage with you, given the advent of the shambles that is the most recent Pokemon games and the evolutions of Arceus.
Scarlet and Violet, those
are technical
games are rough.
Technical failures.
Here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing. I kind of still like it.
Sure.
Like,
there's
fun to be had. And here's the thing. There's some cool things they do. There's some interesting ideas they have.
I've been hearing that's the feeling. It's like you have this great core and then just like really flawed game.
And then the windmills move at like 3 frames a second. And it's just like,
I haven't started playing it yet.
It's just like, it's clear the devs want to make a good game. They just don't have the goddamn time, because they have to like develop for this multimedia franchise, and like the games are how they get how they make are basically the template from which they make their merchandising and their anime and their stuff. So like they gotta get it out the door so they can make more plushies.
Yeah. And it doesn't basically. I brought this up to compare. Like you can have franchises that iterate very successfully and some that maybe don't always iterate in the right direction. And I guess the question being, since Hades was so rock solid, which way is it going to go? I assume just based on the pedigree, like this is going to be great. But there have been many times I've been like, these guys have never put out a bad movie/TV/ game. That's got to be fantastic.
Well, they do.
And then it's like, oh, no, okay, spell's broken. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, I always root for Supergiant. As far as anyone can tell, they got a good, like, work environment, a good, like, philosophy to, like, making their games. And it's like, I've seen them since the beginning. I've seen them since Bastion. I want them to be good.
Yeah.
And they haven't let me down yet.
Yeah. No, that was, I think, maybe the most surprising announcement from the Game Awards. There was a lot of cool stuff there, but seeing Hades 2 on headlines was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about was Earthblade. There's less to say about this one, but like it's made by the creators of Celeste, and I love Celeste. That's the other game that I have come to adore over the last few years.
I have killed myself over Celeste, man. Oh my god. I don't know if I got all the C sides, but I did get all the B sides. It's what a game. What a fantastic game.
I got through it.
Yeah. Getting through, oh my god, those last fucking levels were I was there for a while.
It is.
And I fucking
it's great.
I'm on
like they
I don't know, like 75% speed or something like that. So.
Yeah, no, it's great because like they integrate the difficulty with the story and like and the themes, and it's great. And I love the protagonist Madeline, but when it comes to this game, it's something I'm excited about because these devs look to be doing some cool stuff. What we seem to have here is a much bigger game. It's still
it looks from the trailer, and I'm not trying to like stop you. I just want to say this because I'm hoping you're going to answer what I'm saying and asking. It looks very side scroller action, maybe Metroidvania, just overworld, underworld. Kind of, it looks generic in a way that Celeste was absolutely not. And I'm wondering, is there information? All I've seen is the trailer. So what do we know about this game?
There hasn't really been. Yeah, here's the thing: we don't actually know much about this game. Like the trailer really is just them scrolling through like a variety of environments.
Yeah,
and like
it seemed more like a showcase than a trailer. Like it didn't like pitch anything. It was just like, we're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, for like what I'm seeing of the what they're showing, it seems like it is a very elaborate platformer, much like Celeste was, but just very big and very open. Yeah. I'm guessing the idea behind Earthblade might just be one of Celeste levels, but like it spans a Metroidvania kind of scale.
Yeah, so like Breath of the Wild, like what if we took Zelda but everywhere? And then everyone was like, oh wait, no, this is the best video game that was made.
Yeah, definitely. And for now, that's just an early look. A lot can change about this game because like they, according to the trailer, it is going to be released in 2024. So don't expect it in this year. There is plenty of time. Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
I think that's it. Yep.
So we've all brought some stuff to the table. And before I ask a question about what we can expect from this year, I would like to ask a much simpler question, something fundamental to these conversations, which is, of all the stories that we just brought up, rounding out the end of 2022, what would you pick as your top story from this conversation? If people do watch and listen to this and they walk away wanting to learn about something, what should that something be? Does anybody have a nomination?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 9, The JoJo Lands.
Yeah, that's the most relevant
I said
thing.
want to learn about, not like need to learn about to survive in a conversation. I'm just kidding. While I'm interested in the movies I brought, I don't know. I don't think that that's like something people need to like inspect. That's just something that's a pulse I like to check in on. So I wouldn't really submit either of those. I'm butthurt that Pantheon got taken down. That's the only TV show I worked on. That's my nomination.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I mean, that's been kind of the continuing thing with like what is the fucking background of like how AMC is doing? Because like all the HBO stuff, right, was like all directly because of the merger with Discovery and shit like that, right? But like,
I think they're
not fucking happening with
thought
AMC.
They were, I thought they were connected to Discovery, but I don't even know how that works anymore.
Oh, are they? Okay,
AMC Discovery was like a pitch at some point. I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. But like, there's a chance that these are all dominoes from the same thing. But I mean, Netflix is adding advertisements. HBO's canceling everything. Shows are disappearing off AMC Plus. Like, there's a reckoning happening. Basically, with how these platforms
everyone has
function.
just collectively decided that things should just start getting worse. That's
okay.
Like,
hey, set the expectation, and I can meet you there. Just let me know.
Yeah, like I remember a time when like people were excited about streaming, like, oh damn, this is gonna blow open some doors, and then more companies started to announce streaming services, and it dawned on us almost immediately. Oh fuck, we're just gonna recreate cable again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been saying this since the start. It's going to turn into this. But the good news is, when I'm not watching anything on Disney, I click a button, and I'm not paying for Disney anymore. And that's better than cable to me. So, baby steps. It was... Because I'm not watching anything on Disney Plus right now. I finished Andor. Andor? I like Star Wars again, guys.
Yeah, no. I gotta give the Andor a watch. But for now, it's.
I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it by protest because I think of like the fucking characters that they're gonna make a TV show of. Cassian Andor is not one that I'm interested in.
Don't think about Rogue One. This show it is an explicitly.
I mean, I liked Rogue One.
This is explicitly an exploration of how fascism as a tool of the Empire is like the pervasive threat and underpinning to all of Star Wars, and it talks about that in a way that no other Star Wars has. And the way that Last Jedi was the first movie that I thought like moved away from A New Hope in a big way, like was like, let's do something different, whether you like that movie or not. This is the first Star Wars I've seen since then that was like, and now for something different. And I'm like, yes. And it's also fantastic. It's worth your time. It is absolutely worth your time.
And I'm going to use some extra legal methods to watch that.
Go for it, man.
I ain't giving these companies money.
Again, how is Disney the company publishing Andor? It's very strange. Yeah. But anyway, I'm nominating my Pantheon butthurt. What do you guys have for top story nominees?
I mean, the thing that I'm most butthurt about is Heroscape dying, but that's also from like 2 months ago at this point. So dying again.
Yeah, it's not even that it died again. It's just that you were reminded painfully that it is still dead.
Right, yeah.
Which is even worse.
Hey, we're doing Heroscape again.
Like,
hey, never mind. It's a risk of whether or not we're doing Heroscape again. Oh, we didn't do it. I'm just like, come on.
Here, Jeff, have you forgotten what hope tastes like? We'll give you a little bit of that.
Really, though?
Chowder, do you have any nominees?
Yeah.
I made, it's not so much me being butthurt over it as much as Jojo lands.
Yeah.
Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Part 9. My face is down, my ass is up. Please fuck me up, Jojo.
Why? You're the reason it's called Bizarre. You know that, right?
Too. I feel like a weirdly important thing that's happening is the fact that Ash is leaving Pokemon. That seems like kind of a big deal. It's a fucking new paradigm in our fiction. I would vote for that. I'm not voting for JoJo.
Okay, so I have a D4. I'll re-roll on a 4. 1, Pantheon. 2, Chowder getting butt fucked by JoJo. 3, Jeffrey saying Ash Heroscape. Okay. 4, re-roll.
No,
4, re-roll.
Pokemon, I thought.
Oh no, I said we each nominate 1. I re-roll on a 4, and I just rolled 2 4s.
Fair enough.
We're gonna be here for a little bit.
All right.
It's a 1.
So it's you.
Yeah.
You don't show us your dick.
No, I'm not. Can you see the? Can you see it?
Your dick?
No, the die.
I don't see your dick.
I can see that there is a die. I can see. I believe you. You don't have to prove it to me.
It focused for a second. I had to do that for posterity, and the cord limited how far I could push it. And now my camera's falling over.
Flip upside down.
Yep, a little bit. It's I'm doing a weird thing. Don't worry about it. And hey, cool. I'm back. So our top story is I'm butthurt about Pantheon. Chowder's about to be butthurt about Jojo. But and Heroscape getting canceled. But basically, 2022 ended in a weird spot. I think we can all agree, and I'm pretty excited about what 2023 holds on a few fronts. I think the last thing I want to ask before we close out is there any one thing happening this year that you are particularly excited for, that you would like to talk about or mention or make sure we're all aware of moving into the new year?
I mean, I'm excited for the new Owl House that's coming out soon.
What was that, Jeff?
The new episode of Owl House that's coming out in the end of January. That should be good.
And you said Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom?
Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I am excited for that. I'm also excited for Owl House. Like, the Owl House is a great show, by the way. People should watch it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
As far as upcoming stuff in the short term, we are probably, unless it gets delayed again, gonna get our hands on Hollow Knight Silksong, which is coming out on all platforms, allegedly, very early this year.
Good luck with that.
I mean, and it's coming to Game Pass first, so I'm just stoked. Like, I'm gonna forget that it's coming out. I'm gonna read a bunch of headlines.
And it's gonna show up,
and I'm just gonna go play it. I've been itching for a really solid Metroidvania for a while, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, no, like Hollow Knight is like the gold standard of Metroidvania right now.
It is.
So like, you know, when Silksong comes out, I'm just immediately slamming down a fistful of cash. Like, take it now.
Well, hey, since we're talking about...
I forgot about something else that happened in the last few months that will be fucking the new live action Transformers movie is coming out this year. I'm pretty sure.
Beast Wars. It looks. Is just quick question, and I do not need a dissection of this. Is this in a new continuity established by the Bumblebee film? Okay, that tells me everything I need to know. That tells me everything I need to know. We are
probably no.
Probably no. Okay, excellent. Well, for anybody that did join us, assuming that this ever makes it to air, thank you. Again, we are just sort of getting our feet wet, figuring out how we want this to go. I do enjoy the irony that my room is such a disaster and Chowder's room is so dark that we blurred it out while Jeff proudly displays his wall of toys and Transformers. He wouldn't blur that for $1 million. I don't know that he.
Listen, I also have
like a proud
least composed usually.
No, you're the most composed. You have the most you have something.
Then
to
why
show
is it ironic, motherfucker?
That's a great question. Probably shouldn't have said ironic. Funny? I don't know. Attention catching. It caught my attention. Whether or not it tickles you, it did tickle me. But we'll be back probably next month. I'm going on my first big boy vacation in February. I've never been on a vacation anywhere in my life, and I'm doing that next month. So
where are you going?
Mexico, because things. Ooh. Yeah. I'm leaving the country. I'm gonna have to climb over the wall to get to them, and it's gonna be fun. I think we'll see. That's kind of it. Basically, I've just I'm grinding out Destiny stuff left and right as my guides gain some steam.
Is that going to interfere with the February release?
No, it's not.
Or you mean after? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be going on vacation after that. So we'll be back at the beginning of February to talk about all the news that happens between now and then. So the month of January, we're going to try to cover that. And I will be, I guess if you're really interested in seeing more from me, I'm cranking out Destiny content left and right, really trying to hit that monetization goal. I'm getting close. So my dream of making money off my hobby, maybe. We'll see. What about you guys? What else are you guys going to be up to in the meantime?
I have a YouTube channel where I do toy reviews, where I'm not as close to getting the monetization goal, even though I've been doing it for 2 years. So that makes me feel good. But it's chill. It's a niche hobby. But but yeah, that's called Alchemist Prime Reviews.
Wow.
So that's what I do. on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm Taeemul or Chowdhury, whichever you prefer. I'm on our sister podcast, Dice Populi, where who knows when that final arc is gonna end, man. Who knows? And
I need to catch up. I'm like fucking like 5, 6,
It's
more than
it's
that.
fine,
maybe.
dude.
And, you can also
go ahead.
and you can also find me on Twitter at Taeemul_Chatter. I do art stuff
For now.
There. In fact, I've got this new tablet that blurring.
Discord is having a really hard time figuring out what's going on. You got is that like a Wacom? Like, what is it?
Oh, it's XP. It's an XP pen. It's got like a screen on it, so I can just draw directly on it instead of like having to like sort of the old tablet I had was a Wacom Bamboo. Very good, very useful, very portable, but like this is high tech, man.
Yeah,
I can draw on a screen. It's exciting. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, that's great.
It's gonna require some setup, but yeah.
All right, we'll see if I can put together a more organized and cohesive recording next month, and I'm excited to see that happen. And most importantly, I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. I guess I will see you then. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Bye. Ciao.
Thank you.
Hey, look at that. We actually got one done. Look at us go being big boys on the real YouTube. Thank you for watching the video. If you've made it up to this point, bear with us a little bit while we figure out our new format. Things might look a little bit different video to video, but let us know what you think down in the comments section of the video, because we can do that now. Ooh, fancy. If you want to stay engaged with us on social media, you can use #CGP or @Geeking Program, and if you want to find out more about all of us and our other projects, you can go to comicgeekingprogram.com. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Stay in touch, stay tuned, and as always, thank you for listening to this.